All right, Jerry, here we are. We're at the North Atlantic Fish and Workboat Show, and we just walked the shop, show floor, and it's fantastic. I mean, there's companies here from all across Canada, got companies from the Faroe Islands, Iceland. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening here at the show. It really is incredible, and it's happened right here in St. John's. This is the first show that this particular company has run in 2 years, so we're pretty excited to be talking to some of the folks that are at the show. But I can tell you this, I'm really excited about this conversation because Bill Butler's been on Gale Force Winds before, so we learned a little bit about his company then. But here we are on the shop floor now. Bill's got a demonstration of exactly what he does and the service that he provides to his customers. Bill, good to see you again, mate.
Good to see you guys again.
Yeah. So, Bill, what do you got here? You got a demo unit here. We talked about the importance of oil in your industry before. So explain that to us a little bit.
Well, oil is the lifeblood of the equipment, much as the blood in your body.
Yeah.
And if your engine is sick, well, you can take an oil sample and bring it to the laboratory, get it tested to see if the engine is working correctly and consuming fuel properly and not producing greater amounts of pollution than it should be, all that kind of good stuff. So what we do is we help customers prolong that oil with operational safety. Okay. And traditionally regular oil filters are typically 25 microns.
Yeah.
And they are designed to basically protect the engine or the hydraulic system by removing the larger particles. I always say the rocks and alligators out of the oil.
Yeah.
But it does nothing to help prolong the actual oil itself,
right,
or prevent mechanical wear other than a failure. So what we do, we have again, these are 25 microns.
Yeah.
Your hair on your head is 75 microns thick.
Yeah.
So these I was wondering about that, how thick my hair was.
Well, you can, when you're trying to get that piece of cotton through the head of a needle.
Yeah.
Well, that's 20 microns. You can see with 20 microns with the human eye.
Okay.
So standard filters remove particles 1/3 the thickness of your hair, but our filters are 1 micron.
Oh, wow.
So, and the way we install the filter system is we don't change anything on the equipment. All we do is obtain oil supply off a port, and we filter the oil, and then we return it back.
Again.
That's it. We're a polisher. So while these are taking the chunks out, preventing the engine from failure, we're removing the soot produced in the combustion process,
right,
and also water. And some people say, well, what do you need water in the engine? Well, in the combustion process, the engine does produce a small amount of water, and that is the basis that forms the acid that depletes the additive package.
Right.
Because we remove water at 99.97% on a single pass from any oil, hydraulic, transmission, or engine, the acid can't form, the additive package remains intact for a much longer time.
It's interesting, Bill, because I had a problem with my oil tank, and I found out that there was condensation that was causing water to get into the oil tank. Is that something similar in the engine?
Well, it is definitely. Yeah. But because it's a change of air temperature, right, causing condensation. So when an engine is firing, making that explosion, there's a small. It's not all burned off. It's not all evaporated. There's a small amount that gets back into the oil, and then over a period of time, as those engines keep running, the water content will build up, and then you get your acid formed.
So it's not just particles. You're talking about getting water out of it as well. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, and Bill, I mean, let's be clear here. The engines we're talking about here aren't cheap.
No, you're talking $300,000, $400,000 engines.
Yeah.
With reservoirs that have 140 to 200 liters of oil in them.
Yeah.
Very expensive to maintain, just to change oil. People don't realize, this. There's over 400 boats in Newfoundland here or more, and those larger boats, they're doing 2,000 hours a year. They change the oil every 500. They're doing 4 or 5 oil changes, dumping 200 liters of oil 4 or 5 times a year. So the amount of waste oil that this industry, fishery,
and it can't be cheap to change oil on one of these.
Well, and the oil is going up more and more as time goes on. So even based on, I'll give you an example. A 3412 Cat, a 12-cylinder Caterpillar engine, has a 142 liter base. So to change that oil every 500 hours, it costs the customer about $1,000, round numbers, about $1,000 bucks.
Yeah.
So with my filtration system, they still have to start with new oil because I can't put the additives back into the oil after they deplete it.
Got to get a baseline, right?
So once you got new oil, instead of changing the oil at that 500-hour interval, my customers simply change our filter We remove the water produced in the combustion process. We remove that soot, and they do it again at 1,000. They can triple the oil change interval easily, and not just triple it. I have customers that are going twice as long between engine rebuilds, and when they do open the engine up, there's no mechanical.
How much an engine rebuild cost?
Depends. Average like this 3412 Cat, anywhere from $130,000 to $160,000.
And you're telling me you can prolong that?
By easily.
Wow.
I have a customer in Porter where he put 48,000 hours on his engine. Actually, I have a slug right here.
Bring it over here.
I will, yeah. Here's, this vessel here.
Yeah.
The Atlantic Challenger, the main engine here. So we just simply obtain our oil pressure off the main engine and we return the oil back to the sump. But I put this on this vessel in 2003, and here's his oil sample from the manufacturer with 1,500 hours on the oil, and everything is normal.
Yeah.
There's no issue. Even the soot is super low. Here's your soot. Is at 7 parts per million. Is very low content.
That's 1,500 hours on the engine.
That's 1,500 hours on the oil, in that same oil, not changed. So in this customer, in a period of 13 years, they saved at the calculation on oil alone. Can't see that number. There's that 28,000.
28,768, Bill.
That's what they just saved on oil. That includes an oil disposal. There's no disposal cost included in this. A lot of places you have disposal costs.
Right.
They saved almost $30,000 just on oil.
17 years, though.
17 years, yeah.
But the important thing is he didn't have a rebuild done at 20,000 hours.
Right.
He didn't have a rebuild done at 40,000 hours.
Yeah.
This customer literally did not lay a wrench to this engine only to change a pressure switch in that 48,000 hour period.
Unbelievable.
And not only that, when he replaced the engine, he put a new C32 in it. He said, Bill, Caterpillar came in, tested the engine, took our oil sample analysis documentation. They resold the engine to a mining company in Brazil, and apparently it's still running.
Go on.
I'm not joking now.
That's one happy fisherman right there. Bill, show me what the oil looks like coming in and out of your system.
So what we're going to do, we're going to add a contaminant.
Yeah.
And
this is like the old days of the, vacuum cleaner, right?
Everybody always says to me, oh, yeah, you're some salesman, Bill. I said, well, I'm not a great salesman. I just have a fantastic product, and I know how to illustrate the benefits to people, right? So we've got straight 10W oil from Canadian Tar. It's a non-detergent oil. It's a very clear, and the darker your oil is, the more additives are in the oil. That's what makes your oil a dark color. So you can see there.
Yeah.
Nice and clean.
It sure is.
Yeah. So we got photocopier carbon added to that oil.
Yeah.
And we're going to throw some in the demo unit here. Okay.
We'll start it this way. A little bit of...
Oh, I'm going to take a scoop of this out too now.
Yeah.
Just so we know what we're dealing with.
Looks like a tequila shooter there, Jerry, so be careful. Don't drink it.
Yeah. There was a day, Al.
There was a day?
There was a day.
Yeah, I'd imagine. So we're going to put the filter system on the spin-on filter first.
Yeah.
I'm just going to lay that over there out of the way a little bit
for
now. Oops, sorry, Mr. Mike.
That's the mic.
I know. So right now the oil is passing through the spin-on filter.
That's a regular filter.
25 microns.
Right there.
Not designed to remove large volumes of contaminant or water.
Right.
Simply to take the rocks and the alligators to prevent the component from failure. That's the only purpose. It's not there to polish oil.
Right.
And as you can see, let me get my little shot glass in there. It can remove some of the soot.
Oh, I see.
But not a lot.
Right.
It's not a big difference in the two of those.
No, there's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
We turn the valve. So the oil is now passing through the G2F filter.
This is yours here.
And as you can see, it's quite a dramatic difference
That's unbelievable.
in the contamination.
Yeah.
You look at the new,
Right.
there's hardly any difference, visible difference in
Yeah.
those. And if you compare it to the spin-on filter, you can see.
So so Bill, does your system replace this one, or do you need both?
No, we don't make any major modifications to the to the engine, the equipment, that serves a purpose.
Right.
We would not remove that.
That takes out the bigger
That's
pieces.
there to protect the engine,
Yeah.
to make sure the chunks don't get in the fine tolerances of the engine, the bearings.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't remove the soot.
Yeah, I get you.
Not large amounts. So you have tolerances in your bearings of 3 microns.
Yeah.
So if you've got a 25 micron filter, you're always going to have particles jamming on the bearing.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. The engine's not going to fail, but you're getting aware. But
Right.
with our filtration system, that soot is non-existent in the oil. And I had many samples showing, here's a sample on a 3412 cat with 2,000 hours. The soot level is 0.
Wow. So, Bill, the big takeaway then, from what you're telling me, is that, pretty good return on investment. This stuff, you buy this stuff, a couple years later, you got your money back. But more important than that, your engine's going to last longer.
Yeah.
You're going to save a whole lot of money on your engine rebuild over the long run. Is there a lot of uptake on this product, Bill, or you still got that old school out there saying, I got to change my oil, got to change my oil?
When I started doing this 19 years ago, people would laugh.
Right.
Engine manufacturers, representatives would give me a hard time and all, trying to blow it off. And thank God that a lot of customers, Ross Penton out there at Atlantic Challenger, Frank Hutchings, Miss Jacqueline Four, Glenn Burton on the glider, and Perry Burton, those folks, Glenn White from Bonavista, they came on board. And the first year I did this marine show in 2002, and they installed the technology. And the best thing about this, Alan, is I can take an oil sample and send it to a laboratory. So it's not me, Bill Butler, salesman, saying, this is what I'm going to do. The laboratory gives you results. It's factual. It is what it is.
You know what, Bill? In a world of data, that's what matters.
100%.
Data. Yeah. The data speaks for it.
But the problem sometimes comes into play where not many people know about oil samples.
Right.
So I have to educate them. So now I'm a salesman. I have to educate them on oil sample analysis, but I'm still selling the product.
Right.
So,
They must be talking amongst themselves, though, fellas down on the wharf.
Well, I had a guy, I hopped on a boat one day down on the south side there, and skipper said, yeah, I know all about the filter. I said, well, who have you been talking to? He said, oh, the boys are talking about it on the VHF radio with the 200 mile limit. So it took a while to answer your question. With the oil sample analysis, it makes it an easier sell for me because I have over 150, 160 vessels on in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Word of mouth travels. Anybody who changes these filters what I tell them to and follow my guidelines, the filter will perform as I say it will.
Bill, what would be your one-piece takeaway that you would say to somebody that needs this kind of service?
Well, I would say, why spend money when you don't need to?
Yeah.
The oil samples don't lie. We offer 100% money-back guarantee and a lifetime warranty on the technology, so there's really no risk.
Yeah, how much risk there?
To the buyer, right? They just got to make that.
Yeah, make that initial commitment, right?
We're offering a money-back guarantee and a lifetime warranty, and you can validate the product by an independent laboratory.
Yeah.
There's not many. Right, it's not like a lot of things, Alan. There's just people you're not going to get them on side, and they're going to keep doing. I have one customer actually who wouldn't have anything to do with it, and they got water in their hydraulic system, and then they called me, and I installed it and took all the water in the hydraulic system. To flush a hydraulic system with water, to change your oil, you're talking $5,000 or $6,000 plus the labor to do it. It's $10,000 bill for it's all said and done. And I had customers that have done that twice, and still couldn't get the water out.
Right.
Wow.
And then this guy calls me and says, oh, yeah, we're going to put the filter on the hydraulic system. Oh, so okay. Well, what about the engine? No. We're not doing the engine. So, okay. So I figured we'll do the hydraulic system. They'll see it. They'll see I remove the water. Still haven't moved the head. Still haven't, right?
Yeah, you'll get there, Bill.
It'll come.
Yeah.
Fascinating, Alan. I really appreciate the time you spent with us today, demonstrating this. You've shown me before, but this is even more extensive. I love it.
Yeah, listen, second time we've had Bill on Gale Force Winds. I love that we had you on the showroom floor right here. And I tell you, if people are in this business and they need this service, they should pop down and see you right here in, what is it, Mary Brown Center now?
Yeah, Mary Brown Center.
It used to be formerly Mile 1, but it's now the Mary Brown Center.
Mary Brown Center, there you go.
The Fish and Workboat Show.
Yeah. Well done, Bill. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.